Hey, how y'all doing? Back again, another episode of The It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson. And today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am overjoyed to be on the It Factor podcast. My name is Mayowa. What can I say? I'm Nigerian. I am living currently in North Carolina. Graduated from NCCU, so HBCU pride is where it's at. I love that sweatshirt. And I do have my own podcast, the Just Me and God podcast. It's a Christian faith-based podcast where we kind of talk about the good, the tough, the ugly, the real things that kind of centered around a relationship with God. But that's pretty much a little bit about me.
Amazing. So with that, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Um, Physically, I think I'm doing great. I'm finally getting back, in the gym and getting my life back together. I got my trainer. She is on me. So that's going well. Mentally, life has been lifing, I feel like I've been kind of like exhausted a lot lately. Like the past few weeks have been kind of like exhausting for me. Um, but I'm learning to take a step back and just kind of rest. I'm learning to say no to people instead of just constantly giving out and giving out and giving out. So yeah, and it kind of ties into the emotionally too. So it's been a very last week was very exhausting for me. But this week I feel a lot better. And I'm excited to get to the holidays so I can really just chill with my family.
Indeed. I would say so. What went into you creating your podcast, Just Me and God podcast? How did you go about wanting to do that?
So honestly, I always knew that I was gonna do a podcast. I just didn't know when, I didn't know what. And at that time, I wasn't very strong in my faith with God. Then I kind of started walking closely with God and I consecrated myself from everybody and everything. And so it was literally just me and God for a really long time.
Uh-huh.
And I remember just kind of like talking to God, like, hey, God, like about this podcast, what should I call this podcast? Like, I don't know what to call it. And literally, like, randomly at like 11 p.m. at night, it was like just me and God, ding, ding, ding. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to call the podcast. And I just kind of started from there. And I was like, this is going to be a space where we kind of talk about like the real rawness of a relationship with God and not just what everyone paints as Christianity. Just kind of talking about like what it really takes to make that walk with God, the flaws, the good parts, everything involved.
I like that. I like what you do. I like how you break down everything, and I love how you put out your content. I feel like it's an amazing thing that's needed, especially in today's time with so much stuff that's going on. I feel like people need a person like you that's a voice of reason that keeps it real and also gives the different breakdowns of how you're having your walk with God. So I definitely commend you for that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Indeed. So with that say, what is your it factor? Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? I do what I do because I love to encourage people.
Mhm.
I love to help people be the best version of themselves that they can be. It's just something I'm very passionate about. Um, I find joy in helping other people, which kind of leads back to why I was so exhausted last week because I'm always giving and giving, but I enjoy doing that.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's kind of part of what makes me who I am. It's just that I'm very understanding. I'm a
Right.
reasonable person. I love to. I'm like a. I'll meet you in the middle, right? Like I'll always meet someone in the middle if needed.
Mhm.
I'll go out of my way for those that I care about. And even if I don't know you, like I'm very big on just showing love and just being a genuine person. So
I like
that's why I do what I do.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So tell me about being an older sibling of five. Now, how is that? And like, what's some advice that you give your siblings that you wish you know with you being the oldest?
So being the oldest of five it's been learning, especially coming over to the States from Nigeria.
Mhm.
I felt like I kind of had to grow up a little quicker than most. I came here when I was like 7, but I always felt like I was like 13 at that time. Like I just felt like I had to be I had to be a little bit more mature. I had to help out a lot more around. It was kind of new for everyone, a new culture. So a lot of the things that we endured as a family, I had to experience first as far as like the kids,
Yeah.
right? I had to experience everything first because I'm the oldest.
Mhm.
And so I, took a lot of those experiences, especially after college or while I was even in college. I found myself really giving my baby sister a lot of advice, like, just kind of making sure that she understands that she has a safe space, like with my parents, our parents, because I never, like, for some reason, convinced myself that I didn't have a safe space
Oh
with
man.
my parents. I felt like I had to be like this perfect child and this perfect Christian because my parents are pastors.
Uh,
And so, so that kind of played a huge role in like everything that I kind of endured. But once I really sat back and realized, like, you didn't have to go through that. You had your parents, they were an open ear. I was able to kind of feed that to my, sister, like, hey girl, adulting is tough. Don't try to move out quicker than you can handle. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I could move back home, if I didn't
uh,
have a life set here in Charlotte, I would be back in Raleigh right
don't rush
now.
it. Don't rush it. Don't rush
Do
it.
not rush
I
that.
like that. I
This
like that.
economy
Also,
is rough.
indeed. Hey, look, being an adult is just, hey, it's one of them things where you just like, why? If I could just go sit down and watch cartoons and eat cereal, I would be good. I ain't got a problem, you
Yeah.
know. So I say with that, now with you transitioning and going to North Carolina Central, like how was that transition for you and leaving Raleigh and like I know you were happy to get on and like go to college. How was that for you?
So North Carolina Central was actually the third school I ended up transferring to. I transferred twice.
Okay.
Um, the first school I went to was UNC Pembroke. I was there for a year. It was a little too in the country for me, like too far away from everything, let's
Got
say. And so I also wanted to be really close to my family because at this time I am a very family oriented person.
it.
And so I wanted to be real close. I was going home almost every weekend. And so I ended up just kind of making the decision to come back home to a community college.
Okay.
And so I came back home to community college. And then after that, I was like, all right, going to a 4 year. So I went to NCCU
Mhm.
and I loved my experience there because I didn't grow up in a very like cultural background as far as like my Nigerian culture. Like my parents, they just are not very cultural people. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just
Definitely.
how they are. They come from two different cultures.
Mhm.
And so, it can be kind of hard to blend the two. Um, so North Carolina Central University really opened me up to learning more about my culture because I then, started joining the African organizations and interacting with people who honestly grew up in the same area that I did. I just didn't interact with them very much
Yeah.
growing up. And so it kind of just opened up a new family for me, right? A new love for my culture. And I really loved it. I loved being at NCCU. I learned so much at that college, and it's honestly probably why I'm so big about HBCUs because my experience at UNC Pembroke compared to NCCU was completely different as far as like, professors and
Mhm.
all of that. Everything was different in
Yeah.
a better way.
Right. Look, it was a family. We gonna figure this
Yeah,
out. Definitely
yeah.
respect that. I respect that. I would say, now who are you outside of all that you do? Outside of the podcast, outside of you working in tech.
Who am I? I'm a foodie.
Okay.
I'm a big foodie. I love to try new things. I'm very adventurous. Traveling is something that I'm really passionate about. I kind of sat down this year, but I'm definitely going to be picking it back up next year. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, yes, I can't wait to start traveling again. But that's really me. I'm just a very adventurous person. I think I'm finally growing to be confident in myself. So I'm a lot more outgoing now than, I have been, even though people in the past will say that I've always been outgoing. I ain't
No,
believe that.
no. Gotcha.
I just always speak up when I see something wrong, and that's that. But now I'm a lot more comfortable in myself, and finding yourself, it's a new level of confidence. And so that's pretty much me. I think I'm a very loving person, as I mentioned earlier.
Uh-huh.
I really do try to be an understanding person, which is kind of why I, pursued the degree that I did pursue, because I'm all about trying to understand people. I never want to make someone feel less than, because everyone has a purpose on this earth.
Yes, indeed. So, what you pursuing a degree, which is in psychology, how has that been for you? How was that for you, and what made you even want to go into psychology?
Yeah. So when I actually started college, I was a double major in biology, chemistry. I thought that I wanted to be an orthopedic pediatric surgeon. Like, I had that set from when I was younger.
Okay.
And when I finally got to it, I
Mhm.
took a psychology class, because they always make you take the prerequisite, and I fell in love with it. I
Got
had actually fallen in love with it like my senior year of high school, because I took a class then.
it.
And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like sociology, I thought that was cool too. So when I took it in college, it just kind of really opened my eyes to a lot of things, because I'm like, there is literally a reason for why everyone acts the way that they act.
Yes, indeed.
And a lot of it for me, I believe, stems from childhood. And, a lot of people don't realize that. And so it kind of goes back to just being an understanding person, like not being quick to jump at somebody's throat, but taking that moment to just be like, okay, maybe they're just dealing with something else. They might not even understand why they're reacting this way. But, I always like to say, the only thing I can control is how I react to something or someone. I can't control how anybody feels or acts or reacts to anything, but I can control how I react. And so I like to take that responsibility, to take the pause and a step back before I, react to anything.
Indeed.
I do love psychology, because I'm always curious about how the mind works,
Mhm.
and it's very interesting how the mind works.
Hey,
It
hey,
should
that's
be
it.
cared for, just like the physical body, like how we go to doctors and things like that. I do feel
Gotta
like
keep
there's
your
definitely
mind
an
right.
importance. Yeah, there's definitely an importance, for psychiatrists and counselors and things like that. There's a
Indeed.
need.
Now, do you see yourself working in psychology at a full capacity one of these days?
So I actually am going to be pursuing my doctorates at some point, and probably within the next, I'm trying to give myself at least in the next 5 years.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I do want to go get my doctorates in psychology,
Uh-huh.
and kind of just see where it takes me from there. Yeah.
It's gonna take you to amazing places because you
Amen.
already pinned down the groundwork now. You just
Yeah.
don't see it. Sometimes we don't see it, but I gotta tell you, you pin down the groundwork. Because when I was writing your questions, I was like, I know she working tech right now. That's cool. And I was like, that's not what she gonna be doing forever now. That's what she gonna get back into. Because I like how you're doing your podcast. So let's speak about that. Like, what are some goals that you have? And I mean some long term, some short term, and even some things that you would love to see happen.
Yeah, so with the podcast, honestly, the vision is so large.
Okay. Okay. Hey.
And I'm very excited for next year, because I feel like there's great things coming. I'm still kind of working on them
Uh-huh.
right now, so I'm not gonna speak too much on that.
Okay.
But outside of that, I do really see, like, I personally would love for this podcast to reach unbelievers just as much as it reaches believers, because um there needs to be an understanding of what a relationship with God looks like, not what everyone else says it looks like. And so with the podcast, my hope is that I can reach a multitude of people, a multitude of nations. And I love to speak, which is so weird, because growing up, I hated public speaking, but I definitely, can see myself like going out
Uh-huh.
on other shows and things like that, like going to conferences, speaking about my experience and things of that sort, collaborating with other, people. Um, and just really spreading like the true authentic gospel of Christ.
Got
That's really it for me. I'm very passionate about that, especially now that I really understand it for myself, and I realize, my outlook on it when I was in the world is how a lot of people look at it. And so I kind of want to change the trajectory of that.
it.
Um, so yeah, just, going, I just kind of, I feel like I'm still developing my big vision for myself,
Mhm.
but I do see it as a long-term podcast, bringing on as many guests as possible, and, getting other people to share their experience so that in hopes that they can, encourage others because someone's always watching, right? There's always somebody watching someone and someone's always being encouraged by another person. And so the whole point is just to encourage as far as we can encourage and reach as many people as we can reach.
I love that. I love that, and I feel like you're already doing that. Definitely, I'm gonna keep telling you that because it's true.
I thank
Yeah,
God.
definitely. I would say, what are some things you would like to see change in the world?
I would love to see there be less of a mockery of Christianity.
Mhm.
Um, it's something that has always bothered me, even when I was in the world. It's one of those, I guess you could say an ick. It's an ick for me
Uh,
seeing, you know, the way the world just kind of mocks Christianity, mocks God, mocks Jesus. And I know it's from a place of hurt and pain and misunderstanding.
mhm.
But I would really like to see that change because there's so much that can be fulfilled if people just take the time to really know God for themselves and not what other people, say God is. Um, yeah, that would be my one changer.
Like that. Hey, that do need to change. A lot of things need to change, but that definitely need to change.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I would just be like this, like, man, come on, man. You
And
know,
it's so disappointing because like I do feel like Christians play a huge role in why that occurs. Um, because I believe that if Christians took their religion a little bit more serious, the way other
mhm,
religions do, there would be no room for other people to
there you go.
mock it and make fun of it in such a comfortable manner. But Christians allow so much because there's a lot of Christians that are dabbling in the world too, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna get too biblical, but you can't serve two masters. You gotta pick one. And so that's just what it is. A lot of Christians are not picking one. They're trying to serve two, when in reality they're actually serving the other. But that the world looking at that, it's like, why should I be a Christian when y'all doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, right?
Yeah,
And so it gives them that doorway to be like, well, I can mock Christianity because them Christians not gonna do nothing about it, and the Christians sure are not doing anything about it.
definitely right. You're definitely right. So I would say, when it's all said and done, what would you like to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered as someone who really encouraged others to be the best version of themselves that they can be, to be who God has called them and placed them on this earth to be. Um, yeah, and doing that from a place of love,
Mhm. I love
love and
it.
encouragement.
I love that. Before we close, do you have any questions for me?
Yes. Yes, I do. Where do you see your podcast going?
Like you said, it's a lifetime thing. Like you start stuff and you think like, oh man, it's for me. Oh yeah, this many people, I'm gonna get this, and I never was that person. I say that I saw the numbers at first, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Oh, I can do this. And I literally talked to my family, my friends, my wife, and we was all like, hey, this is a good thing you got going. You should try to talk to people in all professions, all walks of life. And to be able to do that, I'm letting people know that like it's like a ministry. It's like you got to do it from a positive place. It's a lot of negativity and craziness in this world. So I'm thankful for where I am right now in the podcasting, and like you said, I just want to see where it goes and keep going and keep growing. I used to be like, oh, I want a TV show on. It's like, no, I'm fine where I'm at right now. And I know that I'm gonna keep growing, because I'm doing God's work. So like at first it was because of me, like, oh, I can do this. But after a while, I was like, actually, this stuff I'm getting, this ain't me. Like this ain't only me. Like to be able to reach these people and do this. Yeah, I'm sending the messages, but it's not just me. So definitely I would say. I love that I see it growing and doing it 5 years now. It's definitely been fun, man.
That's awesome. I really love that you said like it's kind of like a ministry and you're doing God's work because I feel like a lot of people think that their life's purpose has to be centered around doing something like in the church
Mhm.
for the church, but it doesn't,
You don't?
right?
Yeah,
Like God gives everyone gifts and things to do, like, and just being able to recognize your gift and
definitely.
use that is walking in your purpose. So I really love that. Thanks for
Thank
saying
you. Thank
that.
you. Yeah, definitely you have to because I feel like certain things happen and you question it and then you like, wait a minute. And then you ask questions. Like you may ask my wife, I ask her mom, different things may happen in life, and I'm still doing it. And I'm like, I'm happy doing it. And like, yeah, I can make money from it. Or I have made money from it. And I will keep making money from it. But I would do it if I didn't have to make money from it because of the impact that I'm having on people. I feel
Yeah.
like people see it and say, man, like someone said the other day, I interviewed him and he didn't work with a lot of NFL players, top people. And he was just like, man, I don't get how you not on the same level with them. I said, I'm pushing positivity. When you're pushing positivity, it takes longer. And I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I'm not gonna change it, man. I'm not, and not for that. Like, God came to me and said, change this up or make this tweak, I would do it, but not doing that because the world's telling me to do it. So I agree with you totally. And I'm thankful we could collaborate. I look forward to coming on to your show whenever you're ready for me. And definitely I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me on your show and just being so encouraging. I do look forward to bringing you onto my show. I just gotta get that plan and worked in motion, but we're gonna make it happen. But I
Indeed.
really enjoyed this. Like this was great. So thank you for having me. And thank you also for like pushing my content. I appreciate that.
Look at anytime you send something to me, like I tell everybody else, I will repost anytime I see it on a post. You know why? Because the things that you're doing is having an impact on people that you don't even know. So
That's
that's what I look at. Even when I got you in touch with my guy Will, I was like, "Hey Will, look at her." He was like, "She been." I'm like, "Bro, keep doing it. Keep doing it. You do it." Like those are the type of things I'll be wanting people to see, man. So I love what you're doing. I'm gonna continue to support you.
Thank you. God
Definitely.
will bless you for that. God
Thank
will
you.
bless you tremendously.
Thank you. So I look forward to talking to you soon. Tonight, I'm gonna drop a little snippet, probably on my story, and then because I had a previous episode earlier today, and that was amazing, and your episode was amazing. So of course I'm gonna drop a snippet, and then this is gonna come out in a couple of months. But if you ever need a snippet from this, or you want to talk, or even reach out, you got my number, all that. Now I look forward to talking to you because I just love what you're doing. I
Thank
didn't
you.
tell my wife, I'm like, I love what you're doing. Definitely.
I will definitely let you know also what I have planned coming up. I will definitely let you know. So
Yeah,
stay
shoot me some. Shoot me some. If you need some help, let me know. Like something, man. Definitely.
for sure. Thank you. I appreciate everything you do. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'll talk to you soon.